Welcome guys! Today I'm doing part 2 of episode 1 of Fetus is Not a Life. The first episode focused on the acrostic S.L.E.D, and I encourage you to pause this video and go ahead and check out the first part and then come back here if you haven't done so already. I'm going to briefly steelman the pro-choice side and then respond to it in my pro-life views. Alright, an embryo and fetus is just a clump of cells. If you think a fetus is alive, wouldn't I be committing mass homicide by brushing the skin cells off my hand? They're both cells. Also, it's clearly not a human being because it doesn't function like one. And have you seen a fetus? It looks nothing like a human person. Lastly, it's not viable. An alive human person is a viable one. So the pro-choice me said that the fetus is just a cell after conception, or as it grows, it's just a clump of cells. But a fetus is much different from normal cells. Think it through. If I take my hand and rub it, hundreds of skin cells start falling off. But I wouldn't be charged with murder because those cells are a part of my physical makeup of a person. But an embryo isn't just an extra skin cell in my body. It's growing into its own independent being, not just an extension of my hand per se. Soon that embryo will have a heartbeat and will be able to feel pain and be nourished while in the womb. It's also scientifically obvious that the fetus is a human being because dogs produce puppies, cats produce kittens, fish produce guppies, and humans produce children. Even if the baby doesn't have its nose or hands or toes yet, does one have to function like a human to be a human person? If so, millions of people are not persons. Helen Keller did not function like a normal person. She was blind and deaf. However, she still had the value of a person. Think of Joseph Merrick. He was born in 1862 and had severe deformities. People called him the Elephant Man, but he'd tell people that he's not an animal. He's still a person and should be treated with the same values of a person, although he doesn't look like one because of some deformities. The pro-choice me then said that you are alive once you are viable. But this means everyone may not be viable even if they are the same age. And viability depends on the resources to keep you alive. Think of it like this. There's a 22-week pregnant woman. She's in a wonderful hospital in New York and her baby is viable. If she delivers that baby, it'll be able to survive. Then she decides to fly to Bangladesh, where viability is only 35 weeks. Her baby is no longer viable. Then she travels back to New York. Her child went from viable to not viable, back to being viable. Does that mean her child was alive, then not alive, then again alive? No. Viability in a first world hospital can be 22 weeks, but viability in a third world hospital is 35 weeks. Therefore, viability is not a reliable factor for determining life. Human beings are intrinsically more valuable than everything else, more than sharks, boulders, buildings, and dogs. We have intellect, creativity, morality, relations, and value just for being humans. In the past, when we tried to dehumanize different categories of our human species, it has turned out to be immoral and wrong to devalue someone's personhood because they aren't or look like you. Human beings are human beings and have value, and that value they have gives them personhood regardless of color, race, gender, and development. Think it through. The fetus is alive. Any other standards apply to already born people. Conception is consistent. Now, is that fetus, which is scientifically a person, no longer alive if the woman is poor? The value of life doesn't vary depending on the mother's situation. So before you say, well, the child is going to derail the mother's life, first ask yourself this. What is it? Is it a cockroach? Go ahead and kill it. Is it an alive person? The no heart situation or burdening can justify murdering the baby because life isn't determined by convenience. Thanks for listening, and go ahead and leave a comment below with any questions or if you want to challenge my thoughts. Check out this video, which will be figuring out if defining life at conception is consistent. Also, if you haven't seen my part 1 of The Fetus is Not Alive, go ahead and check out the video too. Thanks.